Hi guys, my name is Tiago Duarte and welcome to another video here at Elbits. In today's video, I'm just going to review some of the new changes to FL Studio 20.a. It's a new version that is out now. I already installed it in my laptop. I didn't install it in my work computer yet, but I will install it soon. So let's go ahead and see what's new in this FL Studio 20.8, and there are a couple of really good things that I really enjoy when I was looking at this video, and I said, oh, that's really nice that they include this now. So let's go ahead and jump to the browser and see what we have so far. So there are a couple of new tools. One of them is this frequency splitter. Let's see what this is about.
Use frequency splitter to split audio into 2 or 3 bands.
So this is really nice. This is a frequency splitter. To be honest, I'm not sure where I would use this in my workflow. Usually I don't have a need to split my bands because all the plugins that I have where I use different bands, be it mostly in multiband compression, I don't need necessarily to split anything. Probably I can start doing it now since there is new plugin here, but this is a nice plugin, but it's not something really essential for me for my workflow. So it's nice to see that they are including new plugins, but to be honest, this one here doesn't impact me. It was not like a thing that I said, oh, this is really nice. It's nice to have always new plugins, and they always come free since I have the fullest version of FL Studio. So I hope I will always get the new plugins for free. So for free, of course, but with the free lifetime updates. But this plugin here, although it's nice, I will probably have to think of new ways to use it. So if I were to incorporate it in my workflow, I wouldn't have any utility for it right now. I would have to go ahead and try to find ways to use it. So let's go ahead and see what I have here. The next one is the instrument tuner. This is really nice. This is something that I like, even though I don't play guitar or that I don't have a singing voice that I can try to see if I'm in pitch or not. But one of the good things about this one that I'm going to probably use is to use it as a tuner for my samples. So usually when I want to know the root note of a sample of a sample that I'm using, and I don't know the root note, I have to open up that sample into Edison and then go to one of the options and set split by root nodes. I don't know exactly what is the name of that functionality, but it gives me the note of each piece of sample that I have in that sample. So this will also be able or enable me to really check which is the note that I'm listening in the sample. So I think that this will be a nice feature to speed up a little bit the workflow instead of like having to load the plugin or the sample into Edison and try to see which notes are the plugin. I can just, or is the sample, sorry. I can just add this plugin here and try to find which note is the sample on. Let's go to the next one. So there is a new one here, which is this one. It's an improvement.
Parametric EQ2 has had a massive upgrade. We've added a linear phase mode, and
this is really nice, having a linear phase EQ built in Parametric EQ2. It's really amazing. Even though I don't worry too much about phasing issues or phase when I'm EQing it, having this option here, it's really nice because now this plugin just elevated itself to a more professional tool that you can use for everything that you want. You can use it in the master bus if you want to have some linear equalization or linear phase equalization. And you can use it in any instrument. So this is really nice, especially for mixing, and it's a really nice feature. And there's also some new features that I really enjoyed in this improved parametric EQ. Let's continue to see the video.
You can now edit frequencies without affecting the phase, where that's important. Attention was paid to low latency processing at the lower CPU and artifact-free high slew rate band modulation. With the new band mute and solo switches,
this is also a very nice functionality, now that you can mute and unmute the bands, each individual band. I mean, it's not, again, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a really nice improvement that you can just enable and disable stuff. For instance, in the plugin that I developed, the Fidelity EQ, I had this option built in because I really wanted that. So I could just on and off, or turn on and turn off all the specific bands that I wanted. It will be also, I think they also have a functionality here for solo, which I also implemented in Fidelity EQ because I wanted that. So let's continue.
You can now easily disable bands from the switches on the lower right. We've also added solo on shift to help you identify target frequencies quicker than ever. Hold shift and click the bands to solo them. Right-click the solo icon to choose the mode of operation.
So this is really nice if you want to really pin out or really see what are the frequencies that you are affecting with this EQ. So you can just shift or control, and it will just enable that plugin type that you are listening to or trying to effect.
Adaptive mode solos bands differently depending on their type, or use simple band pass mode. Check the manual for details. And we've improved the standard filter mode too. You can now avoid phasing artifacts.
This phasing thing, it was already improved in the mixer. So yeah, it's a nice thing to see here that they are also improving that feature of having phase issues when you dial up the mix or dial down the mix of the plugins. I think they fixed a lot of those issues in the mixer itself and the rack, the effects rack. So it's nice to see they are still improving that.
When mixing wet and dry signals with the high quality switch. And the moment you've all been waiting for since we introduced Frequency Splitter improved display modes, including a frequency histogram.
This is really nice. This frequency histogram, it's something that I always enjoy when I see plugins, EQ plugins or filter plugins that have this type of histogram. I really like that, and I always felt that even though FL Studio had that those lines, those bands, I felt that this was missing somehow. And there are a couple of possibilities that you can both enable the histogram and also the bands, the colored bands, and you can have a mix of both, which is really, really nice.
Nice. But wait, there's more. You can also combine the histogram with the original heat map view.
Yeah, the heat map view.
Full, above, we call this Aurora mode, and below.
So this view is quite nice. Here you have the map view and also the histogram. I think I'm going to use this one most of the times in my configurations. So I think that's it for EQ. Let's see here for the maximums. Again, I don't use this plugin too much, and I think they also have the same functionality here. Let me try to put this with the maximum quality. Yeah, that's way better. Sorry about that. But here you can see that we also have the histogram and the heat map. So, but I don't use Maximus too much. I have a bunch of plugins that I prefer to use. So yeah, here there are a couple of new features for the sampler channel, which are quite nice. You can drag and drop stuff, so it's nice. And there are also a new redesign of the flex. There's here the possibility to disable the arpeggiator, and here a couple of more views, so that's nice. There's also here the transistor bass, which they really improved, and they do some comparisons between the real one and this one, and people can tell the difference, which is quite nice. But again, I don't worry too much about that stuff, to be honest. I like having gear, and I like to using gear, even though I don't have too much. But that's not what, for my style of production, I don't really care if this really sounds like the old school gear. As long as it sounds good, that's what matters for me. But I know a lot of people care about this vintage stuff. There's also some new features here on the ZGame editor visualizer. Again, I only use this one to export the what's the name of that stuff, for my beats. I have a cube rotating with daily beats in each face, and there's also the I think it's not histogram. Yeah, probably it's a histogram. I don't know, the bars visualizer. And that's it. I don't use too much besides that. So there's also here a couple of new options for what is the name of this plugin? Patcher. Yeah. So now you can duplicate stuff easily, which is nice. And what else do we have here? There's also a new option to merge automation clips, which is quite nice. And I think this I will start looking a little bit more into this, because now I'm making more full tracks, and especially the dance music tracks that I'm doing, like EDM or techno, they require a little bit more automation. So this will be a nice thing to have a look at and try to really understand what is going on. And there's also the clone automation, which is nice, some new features. So again, this I will have to take a look more in detail and try to see if they fit my workflow or not. And this is one of the ones that when I said, I was like, thank you, which is, let's see.
Glitch-free plugin loading. You'll now find that loading plugins is much smoother with gapless instrument loading. For example, here's FL Studio 20.7 versus 20.8 loading FL keys.
Again, this is something that I really didn't like about FL Studio. Every time I'm like producing and I want to load a new plugin, I have this glitchy audio breaking and all this glitchiness in loading. So this is a really nice improvement. I think it's really nice to see this one here. And I mean, it's not that it was something that destroyed your creativity or your workflow, but it's the small details that make the software or break the software. And I think this one, it's making FL Studio one of the best DAWs in the business. Again, I don't compare the other ones because I only produce in FL Studio. I mix in Pro Tools, but I like to produce in FL Studio, and I think this is just a really big improvement. Let's see what we have here. Again, another good point here, delete initialize controls. Now you can
initialize control positions with the new right-click control option, delete initial.
So now you can delete initial value here. And this is really nice because the other day I was doing some music, and here I was playing something on the keyboard, and I set everything to record, and I started recording, and it was in a loop recording. And when I went to see, I had like 50 automation clips that I didn't want, and I was like, oh, come on. Then I had to go one by one and delete them, and it was just a pain in the ass, and I lost like 5 minutes of my workflow and my inspiration, and just gone. Even though usually that doesn't stop me from continue making music, but sometimes it can kill your idea or your flow, and it's a little bit harder to get back into that stage that you were. But this now is really nice. You can just go here to the knob, right click, and delete initial value. It's really nice to have this option instead of the other one where you have to go to the browser, find the folder, and then go to the event that you want to delete and delete it. So this saves a lot of time. Let's see, what else do we have? And then we have a couple of more options here about this is a couple of more features that it's nice to have, but we don't see them, we don't use them in our day-to-day, at least I don't use them on my day-to-day work here, which is some troubleshooting for plugins. What is this one? Language support is nice, but I do everything in English and Portuguese. I speak my tutorials are in English and in Portuguese, so I don't care too much about the language, and I'm not going to switch. Even though if they do a Portuguese version, I will probably just use the English version, because that's the where how I've learned music, and I want to stay international. So I want my language as a music producer to reflect my software, and I don't want to think too much about what's the word in English and have to translate, because I only use Portuguese and then have to translate to English when I want to work internationally. So I'm just going to use English because it's the, let's say, the official main language worldwide. Then options requiring reset is the language. A new unlock panel, nice. And this is a nice feature. Here you can put flat buttons. Let's see how they look
by
like.
By right-clicking the toolbar.
And you can see it's a nice way. I will probably start using also this, or at least switch between. I like this flat view. It's quite modern, I think. And there's a new demo project, and that's it. So again, guys, this is a really important update, I think, especially because of the new features for the EQ, but mostly because of the new launching of loading plugins feature, where it's a smoother way of loading plugins. I think that's really, really amazing. And again, that's why I'm an advocate of FL Studio, because they offer free lifetime updates. I bought a lot of versions in FL Studio. I invested a lot of money in FL Studio, and I will do it again. And I will probably do more, because there are a couple more stuff that I want to buy, some samples and some loops and even presets that I will do in the future. And I feel really good about spending or investing money with FL Studio, because I know that all my money is towards improving the software, and I can have that for free. And I think that's one of the things that I'm glad that I joined FL Studio, even though before I knew these lifetime free updates. But I think it's something that I really enjoy about FL Studio, and I think it's one of the most important selling points of the software, even though besides quality, which is now you can't say, oh, this beat was made on FL Studio comparing to the other DAWs and downgrade it, because nowadays the quality is on par with the best software in the world. So FL Studio is on the top of the game, of the food chain, let's say. So I think that's a good thing. But again, I think the lifetime free updates. That's something that I if I have to recommend something, a DAW for someone starting, even though if I didn't use it, I would say FL Studio just because of that. I know that I can invest my money on this company and I will always get the new features and the new functionalities. So and for free. And I think that's a good business model. And yeah, that's a good thing, and especially maybe because I'm a software developer, and that's also something that I look at it and I say, so this is a really nice business model. And that's something that I actually also do for my own plugins. They all have free lifetime updates, and it's inspired by this FL Studio because I really enjoy this, and I think it's the best way to reward your customers. Again, I'm not saying the other DAWs are bad for not having lifetime free updates, but I'm just saying that I love FL Studio because they have, or ImageLine because they have. Again, congratulations to ImageLine. They are doing a really, really amazing work with this software, and I'm really excited to see what's next in the new releases. So yeah. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you don't have FL Studio, I will leave a link in the description so that you can try it for free. And now they are still, I think until 6th of January, if I'm not mistaken, they have a very big discount on FL Studio. And I think it's one of the best discounts that you will see. So go grab your copy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.